cue the old friends net for 160 meters. This is N4LQ. Name is Steve. QTH is Shelby, North Carolina. The old friends net is an AM net only, and we take check-ins from anybody, and everybody is welcome to check in if you can run AM. So we'll take check-ins now. N4LQ listening.
Whiskey 4, just plain loony.
Okay. W4 JPL, N4LQ, and all the rest of the people that are about to check in later on. How you doing, John? It's been a pretty good day here, warm enough to get out and take a walk. Enjoyed that, my little 2-mile walk up and down the hills. So, what's been going on up there in Liberty? W4JPL, N4LQ.
Okay, N4LQ, W4JPL. Well, it was a beautiful day outside. I managed to take a run to take some stuff down to the storage unit we got and talked to a mover, got that all straightened out. Took Maggie to the doctor's, and she basically said take it easy on that knee for a little while. And came back, stopped at a deli, got a couple of rather tasteless sandwiches, and came home and ate some dinner, and then we went out for ice cream. So I'd say we had a full day. N4LQ, W4JPL. I'm only running 25 watts or 30 watts carrier, and the rest is audio, so I hope you can hear me all right.
Yeah, well, I can't hear the carrier too well, but the audio is coming through really good. 25 watts. I'm running 110. So I'm from the Valiant. I just thought I'd use it. This is its last night on the air. It's leaving here tomorrow. Unfortunately, it's been sold, but going to a good home, I hope. And anybody else out there that would like to check in, N4LQ, listening. It must be Wednesday night or something. So you've been to the storage unit. I take it you're pretty well certain about the outcome of your upcoming plans, and or you wouldn't be doing all that stuff, I guess. The house we sold in Charlotte was, well, of course, you know how they have an inspector, and they found all kinds of nitpicky little things they wanted us to do, and these people that were buying the house would not back off an inch. I mean, every little nick and pick they insisted that it be done. So it wasn't very expensive or anything. It was just, you know, it was something we had to do. And I had one window upstairs that was, well, it wasn't. It was the opposite of being stuck. It wouldn't stay up. It would drop down. Well, that turned out to be the biggest job, trying to get that thing to where it would. It was one of those Anderson windows with the strings in them, you know, and the spring and the string. Man, I hate those things. Yeah, they tried to sell us Anderson windows here for this house, and I let him give the demo, and I said, you see the problem here, dude? This thing's held together with strings. So we didn't get that, and fine business on the ice cream. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. We were out, got a, what was it, Arby's, and on the way home, we weren't too happy with Arby's because we ordered Arby's Supers, and those are supposed to come with tomatoes, but instead they put raw red onions on it. Golly, what's going on here? I guess they're cheaper than tomatoes. So the wife said, well, stop here at Dairy Queen, and I want a Blizzard. So we got a Blizzard for her and a milkshake for me. W4JPL, N4LQ.
Yes, to you.
Gotcha. Go ahead, Mir.
I'm sorry, I don't want to take the time from John. I'm just checking in. This is WF3. Put me in the rotation.
All right, John, you go ahead and turn it over to Mir when you get done in about half an hour.
Okie doke, W4JPL. Hello, Mir. Hope you can hear me all right tonight. It's a nice, quiet night. I'll give you the short story with this guy. This guy that's buying is a real jerk, to put it mildly. I did a pre-inspection to make sure there were no problems. And everything he pointed out, I fixed. So this guy had the same guy inspected for whatever reason. And the guy that inspected it second time came up with 7 things that he didn't report to me the first time, which kind of annoyed me. But the guy comes back to me just as the due diligence was going to end. He says, we'd like to extend that due diligence out to about 5 days before the closing, because, you know, we're having problems getting the financing finished. And I went back to him and said, well, what does financing have to do with the due diligence? I said, do you understand what due diligence is for? And I explained all that very clearly, and they were shocked, I think, that I knew what that was all about, so I denied it. And then they came back and said, well, how about an extra 5 to 10 days? I said, no. And then they said, okay, about 20 minutes before the due diligence was going to end, they come up with all this. We want you to fix this. I said, no. I said, buy the house or walk away. Choose your poison, but I'm not paying for another thing. So they finally shut up and buy the house. So what a pain. But I just got to the point where I'm like, you know what? The way houses are selling around here, around this Toyota mega site, you don't want it. Somebody else will be very happy to get it. So whatever. Over to you, Mir. W4JPL.
Roger, W4JPL. And I don't know who else is here, except for Steve. Yeah, good evening, all. And I made it out to the shack a few minutes late. And nothing much. I had a nice day for herding this morning. And otherwise, I was just relaxing in the afternoon after I got back. That's about it. I was just doing little things around the house. So nothing much to report. I haven't touched the AF67. I have to take off the panel from my junk AF67 that I got for parts. It has a beautiful front panel. So I'm going to swap them, and then I'll put everything back together. But I think that will have to wait until the weekend. Tomorrow it's another day, a nice day, and another herding session. So a little exercise, fresh air, animals, pretty good. And so anyway, I guess I'll give it back to you, Steve, unless there is something else somebody else in the rotation. N4LQ, WFPU.
Okay, anybody else want to check in? And WF2U, N4LQ, on the Valiant with the big powerful thump when I key it up. Yeah, okay, well, anyhow, we'll find on the herding, and, well, that sounds like a worthwhile endeavor, swapping the front panel out. I don't think that'll be too hard. Most of that stuff just unbolts. those little nuts on the back of the meter are kind of pain, especially the ones toward the inside for the VFO. There's one down there in the corner that's really hard to get on. So I don't know how they did that, but if you got the panel off, maybe it'll be easier. Well, I'm sure it would be easier if you got the whole panel off, just move the meter while you got it off, and the rest of it shouldn't be too hard. I've never done that. I've had most of it apart, though. And while you got the knobs off, you can drop them in some soapy water and a toothbrush and get them all shiny and clean, and spray some tire shine, Black Magic tire shine on those knobs and let them soak for about 10 minutes and then wipe them down. Boy, I tell you what, they look good. Has your knobs got the chrome insert in the middle, or I know most of those are missing. I know the AF68 had them, and I'm pretty sure the 67 did also. This one here, it does not, but they've been cleaned off and they're just black knobs, so they look okay, but it'd be cool to have those baby moons on there. And okay, on your buddy the buyer, John. Oh yeah, I don't know. I guess we never did see the buyer. The lawyer and the realtors made it a point to keep us apart so we didn't see each other and get into an argument. And even the closing was done at separate times, so you don't see him. I guess that's the new norm. But and probably if things go better that way, I guess. But yeah, I think the deal is if they really want the house, they're going to go ahead and get it. And I think they're hoping that you'll say, well, can we just settle for cash instead of actually doing the repairs? Sometimes that's worth it, you know, but and sometimes it's expensive to do the repairs if you have to have a licensed electrician, plumber, this and that, you know. But anyway, I know exactly what you're going through. It's always pretty tough. And the guy that sold this house to us had it inspected before, and he gave us a copy of the inspection report. I said it was good enough. I mean, there wasn't anything that would have mattered anyway. We had to have the plumbing all redone. We got new windows and all that kind of stuff. So we were ready to spend a little money on it to begin with, and it worked out okay, I guess. There wasn't any. The plumbing was the only major surprise, and it started leaking the day we moved in, or before we moved in, actually. And little pinholes in the copper pipe, and that is apparently a very common thing. Once a house gets 20 or 30 years old, you can expect pinhole leaks. And copper pipe has a finite lifespan, and of course some pipe is thicker walled than others, and some of the water is got minerals in it that reacts with the copper, especially if you have a well, and so it's just something you have to expect. But boy, what a job. It took him 2 weeks, and many thousands of dollars later got it all changed out. So let's see if anybody else wants to check in, then over to you, John. This is N4LQ standing by for a second. All right, W4JPL to take it, N4LQ.
Okay, N4LQ in the group, W4JPL. Fine business. Well, here's the thing with this guy, and I could smell it coming. I knew this was going to be happening as soon as we started negotiating. There are people out there who want what I call the ego discount. Now, keep in mind, I've been making deals on big money machinery for, what, 30 years, 40 years? And there's always some people, and it doesn't matter what is nationality, race, creed, whatever. It's always about the attitude and the personality. They want that ego discount. So we negotiated a price. We agreed on a price. And he wanted me to throw in a refrigerator. Big deal. It's 7 years old. I'll buy me a new one. And that's it. We agreed on a price. And it says as is. Now, there are people out there who, with this ego discount, this is what I ran into all the time when I was selling machinery. You agree on a price, he gives you the deposit, and he pays, I think, 90% of it, and there's always a little bit left over to wait to give him comfort till after the machine was installed. Your machine was late, and I really don't like the technician, or the technician came in late, and well, I thought the machine would run faster than it's running, and you got to give the guy a discount, and that's what this guy wanted to do. He just wanted to prove to himself and everybody else how he could beat me down on the price of this place. And I wasn't born yesterday. Matter of fact, I remember a few days back, no birth. So that was my attitude. You want it? Fine. If you don't, I'm all right with that too. I know better. Over to you, Mir, W4JPL.
W4JPL, WFTU. I assume it's your house, something that is involved here in the sale or future sale or selling process involved. Anyway, I remember when we sold our house in New York State, then it was a unique house because it was a hand-built log house right outside a 3,400-acre state wildlife preserve. I had the key to go in the park and ride and use the riding trails for puny, I think, like $20 a year, and we had horses in the back, and I had a nice, it was a 30-foot antenna tower, built over telescopic, and several antennas up, and we tried to sell it. We already had the property here, not where we live, but not far from here. Just the property, not the house. We had it already like for 10 years. And the agents never sold it. It was a horse property, and they never bothered getting anything. We were just sitting there and getting no visitors, no prospective buyers, nobody. And then all of a sudden, my wife decided that she was going to put an ad in the paper, and next day somebody came and said, "I'll take it." Didn't even haggle on the price, and I said, "Okay." I said, "Of course the tower and everything is going, so you won't have it here when you move in." He said, "No, you actually, I want the tower here because I'm a ham also." That was the easiest wholesale we ever had. Anyway, so over to you, Steve. N4LQ, WFTU.
Okay, WF2U, N4LQ. Boy, the band is so nice tonight. Be a good night to have some more company. Wonder if there's anybody else that's going to check in. Last night we had, who was it, Kurt, come in, and he sent me an email, said he's really enjoying the net. He's glad to find some friendly folks here on the net, but I think he's going back to South Dakota. Let me see here what he sent, so that way I'll be correct. Yeah, KB9, KB KB9JQU, Kurt. Yeah, he said he'll be back maybe once more before he heads back to South Dakota. And I don't think we could copy him from South Dakota, so unless he can figure out a way to do it remotely, which could be done, I guess, but it'd be a little complicated. Anyhow, yeah, ego discount. I know what you mean. It's just like they have to feel good about talking you down or a little bit in price. It does feel good when you can do that. But anyhow, I just want to get it over with. And if it's just a few $100, I don't care, you know. And like that refrigerator, you're probably, by the time you move it, yeah, you'd probably be glad you got a new one anyway. So there you go. Let's see, what did I do on radios today? I got my new Chinese TR switch in, the RF sensing TR switch. I blew up the other one, and I'm not going to buy any more of them. But this one came in, and I hooked it up, and it did not respond to RF, and nothing. It would not activate. So I did a return request on eBay, and immediately it popped up and said, print your return label here. And boy, just printed right out, and I slapped it on the box, and out it goes in the mail tomorrow. So that worked out even easier than Amazon. So far, anyway. Of course, it has to get back to him, but this was one of these open box deals, and I think what that means is it's broken. So it wasn't from the manufacturer in China, here in the U.S., and it wasn't an individual. Somebody's got a company. I think they're buying surplus stuff that gets sent back and reselling it. But I think somebody else probably discovered the same thing I did. But you know, it's got a tiny little chip, a transistor sent for the RF sensing, and it's so small it would be really hard to change it. And I don't know, I couldn't believe it. So anyway, it's going back. W4JPL, N4LQ.
N4LQ in the group, W4JPL. Well, fine business. Amir, I'm moving in probably 3 weeks or so. We have a nice house here. I have wonderful neighbors, but there's too much grass for me to cut. I got like 5 acres of grass I need to cut, and this house has a lot of steps. So my wife is having more and more trouble negotiating those steps. As a matter of fact, I had to take her in to the doctors for her knee today. So we found a nice place that it's still got 5.5 acres, 5.88 acres actually, and it's surrounded by farmland way out in the country, and it's got a nice place to put my tower. My tower's going with me. It's already down, so it's all good. Steve, as far as switchover relays are concerned, I'm still using Dow keys. I've actually got a whole bunch of Dow keys. I found them at a Hamfest in a box that I got for very cheap, and I'm going to use them forever. I've never had one fail, and they work fine. And matter of fact, the Dow key that I have on my Valiant and my SX101 is one I made maybe 35 years ago, and it still works fine. It's in a big box and a little bit of a clunk to the relay because it's a big relay in there, so if it ain't broke, I ain't fixing it. Over to you, Mir, W4JPL.
Yeah, Roger, W4JPL. This is WFDU. Yeah, okay, yeah. I get you. We have 22 acres and we don't have horses anymore, so we don't need 22 acres. We were looking for a suitable house to move with maybe 4 or 5 acres, and in a suitable place, like preferably on a hilltop, and no neighbors or just woods that cannot be turned into development, and things like that, and enough room, or maybe even a suitable basement for a shack, for an outbuilding. And we can't find something that we both like. We've been looking for a year, so we sort of gave up. So anyway, so I still have to spend a couple of days, a few hours every day, like maybe 4 hours. That's all I can do sitting on a tractor before my head starts to shake apart. And takes about four, almost 5 hours to do the 22 acres bush hogging. And then I have to maintain the horse fencing and everything. I can't let it fall apart. And yeah, I would prefer just to have some grass and around the house, and that's about it. I would be fencing it in for the dogs, and without having to bother with anything. But what I'm going to do instead, I just have to clean the barn a little bit, and I'm going to advertise the barn for rent, including the pasture, and they just have to clean after the horses and stuff. So I have 5 stalls with a hay loft, tech room, and feed room. So at least I can make some money out of it. Anyway, so that's the story from here. N4LQ WFU.
Okay, anybody else out there want to check in? Give me a call. Very interesting. Reminds me of an old song called Don't Fence Me In. From back when I was a kid, I remember hearing that, and I think it was probably old when I heard it too. Kind of a country, well, I don't know, kind of a Western type song about giving me lots of land and under the starry skies and don't fence me in. So, I don't know, Mir. If it were me, I'd probably just let it grow up and not worry about it. And then if you ever sell it, let the next guy worry about where to put the horses. But that's the way it goes. It'd be a mess for a while, though, that's for sure. Seems like the first thing that pops up is briars. And then when the trees get tall enough, then the briars die out because of the shade or something. Well, today I figured something out. I had been hearing for decades about heating and cooling degree days, and I decided I was going to figure it out today. What is a heating? Today we had 15 heating degree days, and it never made any sense to me. I mean, it's a good way of figuring it, and it's used to measure energy usage over a longer period, but I don't know why they called it days like that. It doesn't make sense, but that's how many heating degree days we had today. W4JPL, N4LQ.
Alrighty, N4LQ and the group W4JPL, fine business. Yeah, I never paid no much attention to heating degree days. All right, well, look, I'm going to say 73 and get out of here. Maggie wants to talk to me about something. She came in the room twice and saw me talking on the radio and then walked back out. So I assume she wants to talk to me, so let me go talk to her, and I'll let you boys carry on. Hope you have a great night, blessed night, and I'll talk to you fellers either in the morning on 8075 or back here tomorrow night. Go ahead, Mir 73. God bless. Have a great evening, sir. W4 JPL is clear.
Yeah, Roger. W4JPL, WF2U. John, your signal just came up tremendously. You were up and down in QSP, but now you're the strongest you've been in this round table. So 73, have a good night. Take care, and we'll talk to you maybe tomorrow. W4JPL, this is WF2U 73. So go ahead, Steve. Yeah, nobody else is here. Go ahead, Steve, N4LQ, WF2U.
All right. Good night, John. And if she lets you go, come back. 73, N4LQ here. And anyway, well, on the Dow key situation, I had some here, and some of the rigs, seems like a lot of them come with them already stuck on the back. But with this one TR switch, I just use it for everything. It just sits there. It's hooked up to the SDR, and it's got the audio in and out for the computer, so whenever it gets triggered, it breaks the audio chain to the speakers and mutes the audio very nicely. No pop or nothing. So that works great. And AGC recovers immediately on this thing anyway. So all I do is, if I swap transmitters, which around here is pretty often, all I do is just plug the output of the transmitter into that TR switch, and I'm done. Don't have to worry about how to trigger it or anything. So I love the RF sensing feature. If I weren't doing this, what I would do, I would mount on this box, the TR box, I would mount 2 1/4-inch stereo jacks, and one of them would be for the mic, and the other one would plug in and go to the mic jack of the transmitter. And in the inside there, it would activate the TR relay, and that so that relay would activate the transmitter. So it would be pretty simple. I wouldn't have to rely on RF that way, and it would actually key the transmitter directly. So that would be fine with me, and it'd be pretty quick and easy to hook up to. As a matter of fact, I may just do that on this one and have it on there. So the mic would always be plugged into the TR switch, and then all I'd have to do is plug the TR switch into the transmitter and the antenna, and I'd be done again. So yeah, heating degree days. It's all based on 65 degrees being the temperature of comfort. They chose to make the standard. So anything below that is a heating degree day, and anything above 65 degrees is considered a cooling degree day. What you do is you figure out the average temperature for the day, or the mean temperature, as it were. So like today, it's going to be 65 for a high, and tonight it's going to be, I think it was 31 or something like that. Was it 30? Yeah. So anyway, you just add those together and divide by 2, and that gives you your average. Then you take that number and subtract it for a heating degree day. You subtract it from 65 degrees, and I get 15. So that gives me 15 heating degree days today. So that's the number, and you can compare over a long period of time. You can say, well, this month we had 1,200 heating degree days or something like that. And last month we only had 800. I don't know. That's just one way of doing it, but it does give you a standard, even though the name doesn't make much sense. WF2U, N4LQ.
Yeah, okay. N4LQ, WF2U. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any confidence in those Chinese gadgets. And I was, for example, looking at their soft start boards and looking at the relay on it. And so, you know, it will probably burn out by turning on a 100-watt light bulb. But they look terrible. I mean, you know, they are really not up to the job, and let alone a kilowatt or two. And anyway, so that's really strange. I know I wanted to say something. Oh yeah, interesting that 21. What I don't know what they are using the 21 megahertz board that is sold by Amazon or something. 21 megahertz. I don't know what you do with it. N4LQ, WF2U.
I kind of wondered about that too. There must be some application for that. It sounded like it was intended for very, very short range training or experimentation or something, and typical of Chinese description, it was kind of funny to read, you know. I can't remember what struck me so funny. They always talk about welding instead of soldering, and they weld everything together, and that's been going on for years. You'd think eventually they'd get the message that, hey, we don't weld over here, we solder.
But probably they go to school and they keep teaching the same crap all the time without revising it. So that it gets passed on from generation to generation, I guess. And the funny way they describe the modulation, the AM modulation, I was rolling on the floor looking at it. But anyway, so I don't know. You must know what the AF67 knobs look like. It's sort of like aluminum or something. They're so tarnished that I pulled off. The other one on the junk one, it might be nicer, but I still would love to clean them before putting the whole thing back. How do I clean it nicely and get rid of that? I wonder if just immerse it in some kind of a metal cleaning solution or something. And in case the black dot marker on it, there is a black dot on every one of them except for the dial knob. If that's taken off by the metal cleaner, it's not a big deal just to put a black dot with a Sharpie or something. But I really like that they look horrible. I mean, not deeply corroded like that it has, pot marks on it. It just looks really filthy, and it's just oxidation. So I wonder if you have any suggestions. N4LQ, WF2U.
Yes, N4LQ. I'm not sure exactly. Are you talking about the knobs and the chrome-plated inserts, or what has this black dot on it?
Okay, the knobs of the not the AF67, the Gonset G76. It has aluminum knobs that sort of they look the same color as if you recall the Heathkit knobs that were not shiny, but they had some dull series of those aluminum knobs. It's similar, I guess, and they look just kind of discolored, like grayish and stuff like that. They don't barely look aluminum. They don't have pock marks, and the dots are where they're like pointers on the knob, that where the knob is relative to its like minimum and maximum, and some of them have a little, several positions in some switches. So there is just a black dot in the aluminum. It's like a little indentation, which is black. I guess it's paint or something, but just in case the metal cleaner dissolves it, I'll touch it up. But that's also, if you remember those aluminum knobs, if you cannot visualize the G76 knobs, that is the same material as the old some of the Heathkit knobs, which are not. They had on the same type equipment, sometimes depending on the manufacturing series. They had some that were shiny, and some of them were not shiny. And it's the kind that is the non-shiny ones. N4LQ WF3.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, somehow I misunderstood you, and I was looking at the AF67 instead, and so I brought a picture of the Gonset G76, and I see what you're talking about. Yeah, this picture is pretty good detail too. It's like a full screen, and I see the indentation, like on the band switch knob. It's pretty obvious, and I don't see any color to it at all. So somebody's already wiped that out, I guess. So I guess I wouldn't be a bit surprised that it'll take that off. Must be easy to get off. So yeah, you can probably just take a Sharpie and poke it in there and get your dot back. I used let's see, on the Collins, on the R390, I had to put the white stripe on the knobs, and I used a paint stick that's it's kind of like a crayon type thing. It dries though, and you just scour it back and forth and let it fill that void up, and then take a rag and polish it off, and it just leaves the white in there. I don't know if they make black like that or not, but I think I'd just dab a little Sharpie in there very carefully, and it might do the job, or get one of those black paint sticks. It'd probably be better than a Sharpie. More permanent anyway. But I see those knobs, it looks like they are just pure metal. And that's a good thing. Most of the stuff is plastic knobs. Boy, this T150, the knobs sure do look good on it. I guess you or somebody must have cleaned the front panel, because I mean the rest of the cabinet was all pretty grungy, and I got it all cleaned off and sprayed it. But somehow that front panel and the knobs, they're just perfect on it. Anyway, it works pretty good. It doesn't put out as much power, carrier power, as I think it ought to, but I really don't know how much it should put out. And I don't have anybody else to compare it with. I'm going to ask KZ4B how much carrier power his puts out next time I talk to him. And boy, I get him on 5 or 6 watts. That's about it, which is pretty wimpy for two 6146s. And the value of the series resistor that comes from the screen modulator kind of determines that. That's what knocks the screen current down. but it's the right value, so everything checks correctly. So I don't know, maybe it's just the way it's supposed to be. Now my Amico, it uses screen and control grid, which I think is the only transmitter ever made that did that modulation, and I can get 10 or 12 watts or so out of it, which is perfect. I can get, like 250 watts out of the amplifier that way. And that's just one 6146 WF2U N4LQ.
Roger, N4LQ WF2U. First of all, I took a photo of the band switch knob on top of the GRC19 microphone, which is black, so you have the contrast. And I sent it to you by texting. So see if you. This is what they look like, and you can see the original black dot in it. So just in case, a paint stick or something is good, because I don't think if I get black paint, if I can just I can actually put a dot of paint in it and wipe off whatever goes out on the surface. That's a good idea too, I think. But I'd really like these knobs clean and don't look so disgusting. So that's it. I'm surprised that you can't get much more output out of the T150 because I expected it to put out at least as much as a DX60 or DX40 or something. So that's strange. N4LQ WF2U.
Okay, now you're talking about the GRC19, and I thought you said G76, but started out with AF67. So now I got proof. I see your black dot on the GRC19. All right, so I never had one of those things. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the T150. I mean, now in the CW mode, I get, let's see, what do I get? Almost 80 watts out, which is, well, it's not necessarily double. I think I get about 50 watts on the DX60, so I'm getting about 80 on this thing. It seems like it ought to be higher too. And if I take the plate current, which is about 175 mils, and multiply it times the plate voltage, it gives me pretty close to the right amount of input power. But I've got higher line voltage, I've got more filter capacitance than I used to. You would really think it would put out more than what it originally did. The only thing I might put brand new 6146s in there and get a few more watts out of it, but I doubt it. And I think if the trouble is anywhere, it's in the loading and it's in the tank circuit. And I don't think the loading control acts like it ought to. It acts really flat and dull. So when I turn it up, I don't get much more plate current, and my dip is rather broad, and I don't see much difference when I turn the knob. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's just all the loading capacitor looks like it's out of a broadcast receiver. It's a double section variable and pretty close spacing, but it's smooth and it's all hooked up and connected, and it works. It just doesn't do much. And I suspect the number of turns on the tank coil are not right, or something is not right. And when I got it, there's the tank coil on the tuning variable it had a loose connection on one section of the variable just from stress, and I hooked that back up, and I started getting a nice dip. You know, I get a nice dip, but if I increase the loading, it just doesn't really dip very sharply, and it doesn't increase very much. It's just very unresponsive. So I think it's something to do with the output circuit, and there's no capacitors. The only capacitor is the one that the capacitor from the plate cap of the tubes to the tank circuit. That's just the usual blocking capacitor. That's all there is, and it's okay. So there's nothing else. All the other transmitters, you know, like all the Johnsons, they've got several different capacitors that switch in as you change bands and so forth, and this thing doesn't have those. So I don't know. I just got a feeling it's just the way it is. You know what I mean? It's WF2U N4LQ.
LQ, WF2U. Yeah, first of all, it's the G76. As I said, I put the G76 band switch knob on top of the GRC19 microphone, which is black, so you have a contrast for the photo. That's all that it has to do with the GRC19. Just for the photo, the back with a black background from the GRC19 microphone. But the knob is the G76 band switch, and all the knobs, even the smaller ones, are the same style, same material. And I have the feeling that it has a very low Q, the coil, the tank coil, and you don't have enough. I think the inductance is not correct for that output impedance, and to create the proper pi network. So I would say maybe you should experiment with tapping it. Oh, wait a minute, that's 160, so that's the whole, that must be the whole coil. Well, maybe try to make a small coil, like start with like 5 turns, and put it in series with it, and then see how it behaves. That's my feeling. N4LQ, WF2U.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I thought about just taking the far end loose at the antenna output and sticking another, short coil in there and see what happens, see what the effect is. One thing for sure is I don't want any capacitance. I mean, you're supposed to reduce capacitance to get more loading, and it acts like it's got too much as it is. So I'm going to try increasing the inductance, see what happens. That's something that John KZ4B told me. His is the A model, T150A, and he said the difference is the tank coil is bigger. Now he described it as the gauge of the wire or something, but you mentioned the Q, and I bet you it is higher Q and probably a little bit higher inductance. So that gives me, of course it doesn't cover 160, so it's just 80. That's what I'm talking about, is 80 meters. So I might just open it up again tomorrow. It's pretty easy to work on, and just give that a shot experimentally and see what happens. I got a guy coming tomorrow afternoon to pick up this Valiant, whom I sold it to, and which I probably shouldn't have done because it's working so well. VF2U N4LQ.
Yeah, well, if it's working so well while you're selling it, unless you're running out of room. But anyway, so yeah, I forgot. the T150 doesn't go to 160, so 80 meters is the end of the coil. Yeah, try five turns about the same diameter, same pitch or something, and see what happens. Well, anyway, so that's about it. Tomorrow, it's another pretty decent day. I'm going herding, and one of my dogs that I was going to enter a trial at the end of the month, and another trial in the beginning of next month. No, it's next month and the beginning of April. He's down for 6 weeks. Once in a while he was limping, so finally he went to the vet, my dog sports vet, and she found that he had a partially torn ligament, which is equivalent to the ACL in people, but in dogs it's called CCL, which was probably healing already. So every time he felt pain, he picked up the leg and hobbled on 3, and when it was not hurting, he put it down. And it was completely inconsistent when he would do it. Sometimes, I was working him, and he was running and everything, nothing. And then he was like lying down at home, relaxing, and he got up all three-legged. So, and then after a while, he worked out of it. So in 6 weeks, he's not supposed to be playing. He's not supposed to be hurting. And he's supposed to be only going out on a leash, so he won't start running around. And he's getting a joint supplement and laser treatment twice a week for at least 4 weeks. Oh well, joy of doing sports. So anyway, well, it's almost 9 o'clock. I think I'll get out of here. Before I go in the house, I'll just take my junk G76 off the shelf. I have to climb up a little bit and put it on the workbench, make it available for the transplant of the front panel. So anyway, 73, Steve, and take care. And if you have any ideas of what metal cleaner to use for these knobs, then let me know if you have any idea. If not, I'll experiment. Take care. 73. Have a good night. N4LQ, WF to you.
Okay. Well, there's all the usual Brasso and metal cleaner polish and all that. On the smooth part, you might just take a piece of aluminum foil and rub it on it in a circle for a while. It's amazing what that does to metal like that, especially pot metal or chrome. And I just tear a little piece off from the kitchen of tin foil and wad it up and in a ball and start rubbing, and then wipe it off with a rag, and it'll usually clean up the metal pretty good. But if you got grooves and things, like, it's going to be a little bit tougher to shine. Or maybe you just like the contrast and just shine the smooth part. I don't know. Anyhow, all right, well, hope your doggy gets better, and we'll talk to you tomorrow night then, or actually in the morning. I think you're going herding again, though, aren't you? So I guess we won't see you in the morning. WF2U, N4LQ, 73.
73, Steve, and yeah, I'm herding tomorrow. Actually, I have a better idea. I have a bench grinder, so I'll just remove one of the grinding wheels, and put a polishing wheel. Let's see how that works out. 73, WFCU clear.
Roger. I'll talk to you later.